to treat me unfairly, whether he punishes me or whether he will reward me, it is my duty to serve him. This is devotee. A devotee accepts both good and bad coming from the Lord, because for a devotee, good or bad is transcendental, because it is coming from Krishna. Frankly speaking, nothing that emanates from the Lord can ever be bad. Isn't it true? Everything that the Lord gives to us as devotees is always for our good. Sometimes the situations look so bad, but as our Guru Maharaj always said, what is the worst that will happen to you while you execute the order of the Lord? You'll die. That's it. Nothing else can be worse in this world than death, isn't it? Some people say, I can't wake up for Mangalarti. If I wake up for Mangalarti, my health will go, I may die. But we say it's good if you die during Mangalarti. What is the problem? At least you woke up for Mangalarti, you remember Krishna and you die. Nothing can be worse than that, or nothing can be more auspicious than that. So a devotee sees things with different attitude. And that is why when Bali Maharaj said, I am going to wash his feet, Sukracharya lost his head. He thought, now my job is finished. Because this Vishnu will come, take everything from this foolish disciple of mine, leave him with nothing, I'll be out of a job, I'll be on the street. And who will take care of my food and my plate? That was his lookout. But that was not Bali Maharaj's lookout. So Bali was right to reject a spiritual master like Sukracharya. Because in actuality, Sukracharya did not bring him to Krishna. But this verse tells us something very different. It says, therefore, or thereafter, the spiritual master Sukracharya, being inspired by the Supreme Lord, Daiva Prahitaha, he was inspired by the Supreme Lord. What did he do? He cursed his exalted disciple. The word that is important, Prabhupada writes here, is the word Daiva Prahitaha, being inspired by the Supreme Lord. Why is this important? Because Bhagavatam tells us that only and until we are inspired by the Lord, actually we cannot make progress in devotional service. It is only by the inspiration of the Lord that we can make advancement. Only by the inspiration of devotees that we can make advancement. There is only one verse in whole Bhagavatam that speaks directly on inspiration. It is in the 3rd canto, 29th chapter, 39th verse. 3:29-39. Very easy to remember. And there Kapila Dev tells Devahuti, Na chasya kaschid daito, na dvesha nachavandavaha, avisati apramatta vasau, pramattam janam antakrit. Very important verse. And why we must know this verse? He says, no one is dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And no one is his enemy or friend. This is important for us to realize. Vamandev did not come on the basis of punishing anyone. Because for Krishna, there is no enemy and there is no friend. So where is the question of punishment? At the same time, where is the question of being partisan? So the Lord actually is very dear to everyone and everyone is dear to Krishna. But here it is stated, no one is dear to the Supreme Lord. And neither is anyone a friend or an enemy. In other words, Krishna treats everyone equally, because they are all coming from Krishna. But now Kapila Dev says something that's very important. But Krishna gives inspiration to those who have not forgotten him, and he destroys those who have. This is an important part. Krishna gives inspiration to those who have not forgotten him, meaning those who remember him. Anyone who tries to make an effort with faith and love, these are the two pillars for inspiration. And they are quoted in this purport. Faith in Krishna and love. Love is translated into devotional service, not whimsical love. Love means it must be translated into something active. Prabhupada said love is an active principle. Supposing, you have a wife at home, and every day you tell her, I love you very much, I love you very much. But you never buy her any clothes, you don't buy her jewelry. Diwali comes, Diwali goes, nothing is new. You don't care for her. You come back, you throw your slippers, shoes anywhere. You expect her to pick up after you. One day she's very upset and she comes and says, why you are doing all this? And you tell her, you don't understand. You don't know how much love I have for you in my heart. What do you think she'll do? Any slipper that's around, she's going to pick it up. So the point is that we may talk so much about loving Krishna. Very often, sometimes when we come from Hindu culture or we come from Hindu background, we are very famous for that. Very often we tell people, Oh, Prabhu, you don't have to tell me. I know Krishna. I've known Krishna since I was born. And he's always in my heart. I don't have to chant like all you people. I'm just chanting whenever I can. Every moment I'm chanting Krishna's name. Do you really believe him? It's very hard to believe him. Because we know that when we say this, even in material relationships, nobody believes us. Everyone knows, no, this is not love. But what if you every day wake up for Krishna and Mangala Aarti? What if every morning, despite all your difficulties in the night before, you wake up to greet the Lord? What if you serve the Lord? Look at the deities today. They are the example of how the devotees taking care of them are serving them. They are brilliant and they are effulgent. They are reciprocating with the devotees. And that is why they are coming today to give darshan. So actually devotional service is an active principle. Love is not cheap. And love is definitely not free. It has a value to it. So therefore, if we want to be inspired in our devotional service, then Krishna gives the clue in 3:29-39. And he says that even though he is equal to everyone, for those who try to remember Krishna, he always gives them the inspiration to remember him. It is Krishna who gives them the inspiration. At the same time, those who don't want to remember Krishna, what does he do? He destroys them. Sukracharya was completely destroyed here, isn't it? He was left with nothing except for his body, his pride, thrown away by his disciple. He had nothing left. At the end of all this, Vamandev turns to Sukracharya and then he says, so, tell me now what is the fault of Bali Maharaj. Put it down and tell me what is his fault and tell me how me and the other Brahmanas can rectify the faults, because they can be rectified. And Sukracharya, with his tail tucked between his legs, he had to tell the very important point, mantratas tantratas chidram, desha kalakta vastutaha, sarva karoti nischidram, anusankirtana tava. This is very important. This is an admission by Sukracharya. And what does he say? He says, my Lord, now I understand one thing. There may be discrepancies in chanting mantras. There may be discrepancies in the sacrificial arena. There may be discrepancies in the place. There may be discrepancies in the time. There may be discrepancies in the paraphernalia for the Abhishek. There may be discrepancies in everything. But as soon as your Lordship's names are chanted, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, everything becomes faultless. This is Sukracharya. And why Sukracharya came to this point? Because unknown to him, Krishna inspired him to curse Bali. Even that act of a man like Sukracharya needs inspiration from Krishna. This is very important. Krishna inspired Duryodhana to walk naked as he was going to see Gandhari. You remember? You remember when Gandhari became very, very scared for her son's life? She told him, you come and see me in the middle of the night. Don't wear any clothes. When you come before me, I will take off that fold, and all my tejas there will make you very strong. But one important thing is you have to come without clothes. So Duryodhana in the middle of the night, thinking middle of the night, no one's going to walk around. Everyone's sleeping, tomorrow is war. He walks around completely naked. As he's walking, he turns around the bend, and who of all people in all the three worlds he should see? The Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is taking a midnight walk. Very casually. And he comes across, Krishna looks at Duryodhana, Duryodhana is looking at Krishna. And Krishna smiles and says, Duryodhana, what are you doing in the middle of the night with no clothes on? And Duryodhana suddenly starts thinking, actually he's right. What am I doing walking around with no clothes? There is inspiration. There is inspiration. Suddenly a light bulb went in his head. Hey, he's right. Why am I doing this? Then he became convinced. Because Krishna said, but I have to go and see my mother. Now Krishna smiles even more. You're going to see your mother in the middle of the night with no clothes. Just doesn't sound right, Duryodhana. What is wrong with you? Again inspired. He's right also. So then he starts thinking, so what am I to do? This is the enemy, But he's asking Krishna, so what am I to do? There is also inspiration. So Krishna says, very simple. At least from here to the point where you're going to see your mother, put on a gamcha, man. Walk in a decent fashion. Once you see your mother, it's okay. Mother is mother, then you take it off. And he became inspired. He said, yes, Krishna is very right. Why would Duryodhana agree with Krishna? He never agreed with Krishna. didn't want to take Krishna's instructions. Not in one point did he take, except in this episode. That is inspiration. That is how far Krishna will go to protect his devotees. That is how far he is willing to protect his devotees. He wanted to hasten the Mahabharata war, but he also wanted to send a signal in that episode to Gandhari about his supremacy. Because Gandhari was so proud that she will protect her son from Krishna. Krishna meets him, tells him to put on a gamcha, and then Krishna reminds him, only one thing you do, Duryodhan, when you reach there, please take it off. Follow your instructions of mother. And Duryodhan keeps telling himself, yes, I will do it. Have you done that before? You're afraid you're going to forget something, so you keep telling yourself every minute, I won't forget. At the time you're supposed to remember, you forget. It's happened to me most often during exams. I don't know for all of you, but for me it's like that. Before exams, everything is in the head. And then I stand before Krishna saying, I've done my part. Then I go in there and I forget 15:15 of Bhagavad Gita. And that is, Krishna not only gives you remembrance, but he also gives you forgetfulness. So Duryodhana up to that point was reminding himself, Krishna will not cheat me, he will not get the better of me. He stands in front of Gandhari. Gandhari says, are you ready, my son? And he says, yes, I'm going to take it off. The moment she says, I'm ready, he doesn't take it off. At the last moment, he still forgets. Mahabharata tells us he was inspired by Krishna to forget. So actually inspiration comes even when you remember the Lord unfavorably. This is what Guru Maharaj said. Anyone who remembers the Lord even unfavorably, Krishna can inspire him. But Krishna inspires him not to get his own demonic objectives. But Krishna inspired Sukracharya to hasten Bali Maharaj's greatness in devotional service. Because the moment he cursed his disciple, Krishna had it as concrete evidence. Now, Bali has no choice but to lose all his opulence. Now he will lose everything. Krishna acted through Sukracharya as the instrument to hasten this pastime. And who? To glorify Bali. Because it is not easy to be cursed by your own spiritual master and still be unswerving in your determination. It's very difficult. Very difficult. But to show that Bali was such a great devotee of the Lord, Krishna inspired Sukracharya from within and caused him to do that. And in the same way, Krishna inspired Duryodhana to behave like fool number one and to appear before his mother with gamcha, and therefore his mother realized, today all my tejas is spent. I cannot protect his lower body. And it was that same lower body that became the source of his destruction eventually at the end of the Mahabharata war. And that night, Mahabharata tells us, Gandhari could not sleep. She could not sleep. Because then she realized that nobody can stand before the awesome power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead if he decides that this is how his plan should be. Nobody. Gandhari was nothing before Krishna. Sukracharya was nothing before Krishna. So this is the point. Finally, in all pastimes of the Lord coming, while we discuss the greatness of the devotees, we must never forget all greatness is finally coming from Krishna. The devotees are great because they are connected to Krishna. The day a devotee is not connected to Krishna, then that day he loses all the inspiration that is given by Krishna. So Bali Maharaj worked very hard to connect. And that is why forgetfulness of one's relationship to the Lord is the cause of repeated birth and death. Please remember this statement. Forgetfulness of one's relationship to the Lord is the cause of repeated birth and death. Anyone who revives his consciousness of the original relationship with Krishna, he will receive inspiration from the Lord. And that is the truth. It is stated in Shastras, Harim vina na srihim taranti. Harim vina. Without the blessings of the Lord, no one can be cured from the repetition of birth and death. This is the most important point of Vamandev's pastime. The other important point of Vamandev's pastime is the glorious nature of Bali Maharaj. This is very important. But before we understand that, we should understand that everybody in this material world is ultimately an instrument of Krishna. No one has the power to act independently. Sukracharya thought he could curse, but here it was proven that even in his curse, it was Krishna's plan. Why? Because Krishna wanted one principle of Bhagavatam. Yasyaham anugranami harisyetad dhanam shanai. Very important verse from the 10th canto. This was what Krishna wanted to achieve for his devotee. And Prabhupada writes very nicely, the Lord very often takes away all the possessions of his devotees. But when he takes away the possessions of a devotee, however, is never disturbed by this loss. When a devotee has faith and love, Krishna gives him the inspiration and the understanding by which to come to him. That is why Prabhus and Matajis, in the middle of this purport, Prabhupada quotes the 3rd Chatushloka of Bhagavad Gita. Nowhere is this particular shloka more well applied than in this particular pastime. That's why Prabhupada quotes it. Tesham satata yuktanam. To those who are constantly devoted. Bali Maharaj was constantly devoted to serving this Brahmana boy. It didn't matter whether it was Vishnu or not. Just like when you chant the holy names of the Lord, even without understanding the full potency, it is purifying you. Is it not? Just like if a child were to touch fire, whether the child knew it was fire or whether the fire knew it was a child, it doesn't matter. Fire's nature is to burn. Anyone who touches fire will be burned. The nature of devotional service is it will purify. Anyone who just touches devotional service, he will become purified. Putana, that terrible demoness who decided to come in disguise as an elderly gopi, just so that she could trick everyone in Vrindavan Dham, enter into the house of Nanda and Yashoda, suckle the child Krishna and give him poison. How much effort she took to play that role. She was a demon, but Bhagavatam tells us she spent many months preparing for her role. Because demons are not naturally like gopis. It was so difficult for her to behave like devotee. But she practiced and practiced, just like a good actor practices a difficult role. And when she was ready for the difficult role, she assumed the disguise, walked into the apartment, the chambers, and when she was in the chambers, Yashoda Mata and everyone saw her. But her acting was so good. She was acting so much like a devotee that they thought, hey, this must be another elderly gopi come to just feed Krishna. And she was very proud. In her heart she was thinking, see, I'm very great. I have tricked everyone, now I will trick Krishna. So when she comes before Krishna, because she's playing the part of a devotee, she's pretending to be a devotee. Bhagavatam and Shastras tell us Krishna closed his eyes before he took the life out of her. Because even Krishna was taken in by her act. Krishna thought, this is such a nice act. But what to do? I have to kill her. She's demon. But even after killing her, Bhagavatam, Shastras tell us that Putana did not die a terrible death. She died in such a way that her soul merged into the super soul. And after that, she was given the benediction of becoming Dhatri, a nurse to Krishna. Why? Because she was pretending to be a mother. That's all. Therefore, even if you pretend to be devotee, you will also become touched by devotional service. Eventually, if you want to cheat Krishna, we all know how Krishna will cheat us. How many of us came to Krishna consciousness because we thought we can cheat Krishna? But you all know that finally Krishna caught us and now he can't let go and we don't want to let go also. So therefore, it is very important for us to realize that to those who are constantly devoted, constantly means in good times and bad times. Constantly doesn't mean I'm very consistent. Consistency is good, You can say, Prabhu, I come to Vaman Kshetra once a year. I'm very consistent, isn't it? I chant, but I make sure I chant once a month. Whatever happens, I chant once a month. That's also very consistent. But that's not constant. Constant devotion means Desham Satata Yuktana. Satata means in every situation. Not just constant, but in every situation. If you are devoted and you worship Krishna with love, this love is not sentiment. This love is sincerity and faith. This love is unswerving determination. And this is what Bali Maharaj showed. Bali Maharaj's love of Godhead came in his unswerving determination to serve who? Vamandev. That is why he qualified for this verse. Even though he started as demon, halfway Krishna changed his heart, purified him, revived his original Krishna consciousness, and then what happened? Krishna gave him the understanding by which to come to him. And what understanding did he get? I have to just drop my spiritual master who is a cheater, and I have to wash the Lord's lotus feet, and I'm ready to take anything that he wants to give. If it is Vishnu come to kill me or to take everything away, let him take away. That is the greatness of Bali Maharaj. And that greatness came from Krishna inspiring him within. So sometimes as devotees we worry how to continue in devotional service. I don't understand this shloka, I don't understand this part of devotional service. But we don't have to worry about understanding. Understanding and inspiration comes from Krishna. We must do our part, Krishna will do his part. You just do nice devotional service. Come to the center, serve each other. Always remember to put Krishna in between all your relationships. The moment Krishna is not in between your relationships, the relationships will become material. It will become Sukracharya. Then you will want something from him, she will want something from you, and when you both don't get anything, in Vamankshetra you start cursing each other. That's what we will do. But because we put Krishna in the center, there is no cursing. Everyone is happy. Everyone is peaceful. That is why Vamankshetra should never become Kurukshetra. This is the promise you must make to Vamandev and to Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra. Each one of us has the responsibility to do that. That is very, very important. And once we understand that, then we can come to the ending part of the purport. Because Prabhupada says here, Daiva Prahitaha. Sukracharya should have encouraged Bali Maharaj to give everything. He should have encouraged. He should have given Bali Maharaj the chance to give everything. But instead, what did he do? He actually stopped him. And therefore, Bali Maharaj had to reject Sukracharya. So Bali's nature is very great. And we have to learn from Bali Maharaj. The reason why he could reject someone so complicated as Sukracharya was because he himself was simple. He did not complicate matters. He was plain, he was simple. That's why I said yesterday, he was Arjuna. At the end of the entire episode, when he is bound, there is one other word that is used by Krishna to glorify Bali. And that word is tolerant. Krishna at the end, as Vamandev says, despite taking everything away from him, despite reducing him to nothing, despite making a fool out of him, he has been so tolerant of all that I've inflicted on him that he has indeed showed what a glorious devotee he is. This is what Krishna says. So the other important trait that we must take back with us, that will really attract the attention of the Lord, is when we tolerate each other. Prabhupada said, the greatest austerity that devotees should take up is to tolerate each other. And nothing pleases Prabhupada and our acharyas more when we tolerate each other. We are all full of defects, Prabhus and Matajis. Is it not? Is it not true that no one here is perfect? Bhagavad Gita says every endeavor in this world is covered by fault. If Bhagavad Gita itself says every endeavor is covered by fault, how can we be free of fault? This is an important point. So as devotees, we should not set high standards for people and be merciless to them and be so merciful to us, to ourselves, and say, no, I don't have to chant, I don't have to wake up for Mangalarti, but you have to wake up. And you are not coming to Vamankshetra on time. You have to do this, you have to do that, but I don't have to do all this. I'm above all this. No. That is not Bali Maharaj. Bali tolerated everything, didn't make any noise, accepted everything, and in the end, he became a source of inspiration to all of us. So the point that we want to say as significance is this point of inspiring. The only way we can improve in devotional service is when we are inspired. There is a vast difference between taking a class and just preparing for it, and then giving a class that can inspire and touch the hearts of people. For that to happen, it has to come from the heart, and it has to be on the platform of devotional service. If we can inspire each other to remember Krishna, then Krishna will become very pleased. And those who cannot remember Krishna, they cannot be inspired in devotional service. Those who do not want to serve Krishna, if they want to serve only their senses, they will not have the understanding by which to come to Krishna. So whenever we have questions, and when devotees give us answers, the fact is, very often we know the answer also. But because we don't want to take up devotional service, we don't want to change our lifestyle, we don't want to sacrifice for Krishna, then we will not grow. Sukracharya was condemned, but Bali Maharaj was ready to sacrifice, ready to come out of his comfort zone and ready to become a devotee according to how Krishna wanted him to be. This is very important. This is what attracts Krishna. This is what attracts the devotees to Krishna and Krishna to the devotees. So what is the purpose of us celebrating 1 year anniversary of this wonderful Vaman Kshetra? The question we should ask ourselves is very simple. Why do we gather together in the first place? We should never ever forget one very important point. And that is the fact that the real purpose why Prabhupada established centers, temples, and all these other places is only because of one reason. To glorify Krishna. There is no other reason other than that reason. This is something we should remember. The real reason for establishing centers is never to glorify ourselves. Very often when we go for material functions and social functions, these places become a good place for us to boost our egos. But when we come to the center, we should leave our egos with our chappals outside. The ego should never walk in. If the ego walks in with us, then this is not center anymore. We have lost the plot and we have lost the cause of our direction. I think it is Shukadeva Goswami who makes it very clear in 10.1.4 Srimad Bhagavatam. Nivritta tarshay upagiyamana bhavao shudachotra mano virama kauttama shloka gunanuvada puman virajeta vina pasugnam. And the translation is very important. Glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is always performed in the parampara system. In other words, our first duty is to glorify Krishna. When you say glorify Krishna, what do we actually mean? It's very simple. It just means that everything that we do, we try to please Krishna. Anyone that we praise, it must be the Supreme Lord. If there's any reason why there is any greatness anywhere, it is because it's Krishna. If there is any reason why there is some credit for anyone, it is because of Krishna and the devotees. That is glorification. But glorification must be done through Guru and through the parampara system. This is important. We cannot just glorify whimsically. It must be done through the pages of Bhagavatam under the direction of your spiritual master. Then it will be done properly. And when that happens, Bhagavatam tells us, this glorification of Krishna is the great medicine. Bhava Aushadam. This description of the Lord is actually the right medicine for this entire Kali Yuga. All the conditioned souls who are going through repeated birth and death, we need to hear glorification of Krishna. And that's what we are trying to do. Glorification of Krishna automatically includes glorification of his devotees. This we should be clear. Because the moment you glorify a devotee, Krishna is present. Krishna always has ears to hear about someone glorifying a devotee. And that is why we should glorify devotees from our heart. Don't make it an exercise. Oh, now is glorification time. Okay, everyone sit down. Prabhu, I like you because of 1, 2, 3. Mataji, I like you because of 1, 2, 3. Sometimes we get into the ritual also, It's a birthday, so we have to glorify the person. I can't stand the person, but what to do? We are in Vaman Kshetra, we have to glorify him. That is not glorification. Glorification means it must come from the heart. It must come with faith. And when you do that, it becomes the best medicine. And when that best medicine is taken, no one will stop hearing the glorification of Krishna. We want to continuously hear. We don't mind continuously hearing. Every one of us have heard these topics every year. I think Viraj Prabhu, would have covered this topic with so much realization. But you're still patient and sitting down to hear this one more time. Why? Because even if the speaker is not speaking correctly, the message that is delivered is always pure. As long as we read from Prabhupada, it is pure. It is enough. I remember ways that we should be simple. Bali Maharaj was simple. Glorification should only be for the Lord. Glorification is not meant for anyone else. If it is meant for someone else, it is his relationship with the Lord that we glorify. That is the reason. There's a difference. So Nirvita Tarshay Upagiyamana Bhava Aushada. Right? This is the medicine that will help us. And only 2 kinds of people will resist from hearing the glorification. Right? One is of course the butcher. And the other is the killer of the soul. In both ways we are butchers, isn't it? Those who don't want to take up this process, they will have to suffer. That is why I think it was Brahmaji. Brahmaji in the 3rd canto, 9th chapter, 7th verse, he says a very important point that we should remember. And this is very important for Vaman Chetra. He says, Daivena te hatadiyo bhavata prasanga sarva shubho pashamanar vimukendriyaye. The 3rd line is important. Kurvanti kama sukhalesha labaya dina lobha vibhuta manaso akushalani shashva. This is a very important verse. And I remember my Guru Maharaj placing a lot of emphasis. The translation is important. Please repeat it. He says, O my Lord, persons who are bereft of the all auspicious performance of chanting and hearing about your transcendental activities are certainly unfortunate and are also bereft of good sense. They engage in inauspicious activities, enjoying sense gratification for a little while. Just for a little while. This point is very important. So actually, the Lord, the moment we are bereft of chanting Krishna's names and hearing about Him, that day, whatever activities we do here will become inauspicious. But the moment, every time we come together, we put chanting in the center and glorification of Krishna in the center, then no matter what happens, this winning formula will inspire everyone to have the understanding to come to Krishna.